Dude, what are you doing? You told me you were researching Lady Macbeth's death.
Alright, I'm sorry. Man, I hate this project. Why do we have to figure out how Lady Macbeth died? All that's important is that she's dead.
Well, what'd you expect? We decided to double major in forensics and Shakespearean studies. What are we gonna do with this useless double major anyways?
Fine, you're right. But one of the requirements of the project is to have actual evidence. How are we gonna get actual evidence? We weren't even there.
I mean, in the book, Macbeth was able to talk to the witches, so why don't we just do the same?
How are we even gonna do that?
I mean, Macbeth was able to find them, so we could just go to some like dark cave or something, or dark place, and we could probably find a modern witch.
Man, I could have been playing Halo. We're here, and it's dark. Where are the witches?
Did you say you needed a witch?
Yeah, could you send us back into the book, Macbeth? We need to figure out how Lady Macbeth died.
Of course. Fair's
Wait. Where's the other two witches?
With modern technology, we don't need 3 witches anymore. We only need 1.
Oh, okay.
Fair's
Wait. So that means when we go into the book, we won't have access to modern technology?
Yep. Fair's foul, foul isn't fair. Into the book, Macbeth, you go!
Oh! We're in Lady Macbeth's room. And there's her body.
Looks like she cut herself.
Look at that knife and the size of that cut.
I think she bled out. That explains all the blood.
Looks like she cut halfway into her hand, but not fully. Let me get this down.
There's something else over here too. It looks like vomit.
Oh, and it's drier than the blood. Look at the blood on that knife. It's wet. It's dry. Let me get this down too.
I'm gonna go look around if there's anything else we can find. Hey, I found a leaf. I know that sounds weird, but there are no other plants in the room.
Just put it in evidence.
Okay. Do you want to get pictures of everything?
Pictures.
I know that we can't have modern technology, but that doesn't stop us from keeping stuff in our pockets.
Oh. Okay, make sure you're getting this. Okay, let's take a look at this crime scene again. So over here, we have this bed with Lady Macbeth's dead body on top, and this shelf over here in the corner of the room with this unidentified leaf underneath it. We're still not sure what that is, but we'll get to that. So over here, we see Lady Macbeth's hand with the cut mark, and we see this knife that was supposedly dropped by her on the ground, and this pool of blood, and the vomit. And the vomit was drier, it was dried, and the blood was still wet, as it was seen on the knife and in the pool. So that means that the vomit was expunged from her body prior to the blood.
We have to figure out why that happened.
Right, so we'll have to look into that.
Another unaddressed question is the angle of Lady Macbeth's cut, as we see in her autopsy report. If someone were to cut themselves, they would do it like this. You wouldn't turn your hand over and cut from there. That's a really awkward angle. It's possible that someone else was responsible for the cut.
Are you suggesting some sort of foul play involved?
It could have been murder, but we can't be sure. We have to question people, especially those who are close to Lady Macbeth.
Right, so I believe the first person we can question is Macbeth.
Yeah, he's her spouse, and he would know the most about her.
And we can also question Satan because he's Macbeth's attendant.
Yeah. Along with that, we have the gentlewoman because she's Lady Macbeth's attendant, and she should have seen something, or she must know something.
And we can also have a conversation with the doctor
Because, yeah.
to consider if it really was suicide, because he may have information on her psychological state.
Alright, we have to get to it though, because it seems like there's a battle about to start.
Let's get to it.
We have to make sure the suspects don't talk to each other.
That's right. If they were able to converse, our evidence would not be accurate.
Okay, so we have to interview them simultaneously.
Right, let's split up the interviews then.
Look, we have a few questions to ask you. Here's what we know about Lady Macbeth's death. What do you know?
Look, can we make this quick? I have a battle to fight.
Of course, just answer my question. What do you know about Lady Macbeth's death?
I don't know anything. I was only informed by my aide.
Stay calm. What do you think was the cause of Lady Macbeth's death?
How can I be calm when the weird sisters told me not to fear till Burnham would come to Dunsinane? But if you look outside, Burnham would do come to Dunsinane.
Look, it's really clear what I'm asking. What do you think caused Lady Macbeth's death? Suicide, murder, etc.
Honestly, what does it matter? Fate is fate.
Look, we have reason to suspect that Lady Macbeth's death involved foul play. Being her husband, that makes you a suspect.
So, are you questioning my love for my wife? When she was mentally ill, I made sure the doctor did all he could to try and cure her. I even made sure he tried to make an antidote for her. And for your kind information, I was prepping the whole day for the war and putting on my armor, if you see, with my aide, Satan. Okay, so there's no way I could be involved in her death. Okay? If you have any more questions, you can ask my aide, Satan. Now, good day.
All this preparation for war has caused me to be fatigued.
So, Satan, Macbeth told us that you delivered the message of his wife's death to him. What's your relationship to Lady Macbeth?
To be quite frank, I do not have one. I simply attend to my Lord Macbeth.
What were your thoughts on Lady Macbeth's death?
I noticed a large gash on her wrist and a large pool of blood.
What were you doing prior to Lady Macbeth's death?
I was attending to my Lord and checking on the reports given by the messengers. The only time I left with the side of my Lord was to attend to the cries of the women. That is when I discovered the body of my lady.
What were you and Macbeth doing during the course of that day?
My Lord was never directly in her presence. However, he put forth effort to speak with the doctor regarding her condition. My Lord was preparing for war that day, and it was my duty to confirm that which was reported. It was also my duty to help him with his armor.
Very well.
Hello, gentlewoman. We heard you were Lady Macbeth's attendant.
Why, yes I was, until her saddening departure.
What can you tell us about the Queen's death?
Well, I heard that it was a suicide, but I haven't been notified of any further developments.
Well, actually, we have reason to suspect that it may not have been a suicide. Were you in any way involved with the Queen's death?
Why would I be involved in the Queen's death? That was the worst experience of my life, and because of that, I lost my beloved Queen and my duties to her.
Look, ma'am, as the Queen's attendant, it is your responsibility to be aware of her physical and mental conditions.
Look, I have only wanted the best for Lady Macbeth. When she was having her mental issues, I was the only one that notified the doctor, and if it weren't for me, the doctor wouldn't have had all this useful information.
What were Lady Macbeth's issues?
She was struggling with sleepwalking, sleep-talking, and constantly washing her hands, trying to get rid of this spot on them.
You mentioned the doctor. Is there anything else about the doctor? Anything he said specifically?
To be honest, the doctor knows much more. He made sure that whatever we saw, I marked that. Come to think of it, he was even asking questions like, will she go to bed?
Sorry to bring such terrible memories to you. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Doctor. How are you?
Troubled by my Queen's death. With all my knowledge, I cannot ease her pain.
How much do you know about Lady Macbeth's illness?
I know she was suffering from psychological traumas, such as sleepwalking and sleep-talking. It was a disease beyond my practice.
Is that all you know?
The gentlewoman said that you had very detailed notes.
Yes, of course. I learned much during that process. The basic cause of her death was that she cut her hand and bled out to death. There's really nothing else in my notebook. However, since you requested, I gave it to you.
Are you sure that's all? Because the Queen seemed very ill to the point that she vomited. Also, why did she cut her hand of all things?
Honestly, that's all up to debate.
Is it really? Because the gentlewoman told us that you knew that Lady Macbeth had a hallucination of a spot on her hand. Please excuse us for a minute.
So while I was flipping through the doctor's notebook, I found a page. This hemlock plant that the doctor writes about is exactly like the one that we found at the crime scene.
Oh, hemlock. Maybe we should talk to the doctor about this.
Anyway, Doctor, what will you be doing now?
Now that my patient's gone, I'll have to leave Dunstane. I have nothing more to do, and profit again should hardly draw me here.
What do you know about that leaf?
It's a mere leaf. Nothing more. What are you insinuating here?
It's not a mere coincidence that this leaf, which is similar to that of the hemlock plant, which we found in your notebook, was found at the crime scene.
You're obviously well aware that a leaf of hemlock, as it says in your notebook, can paralyze an individual. And another side effect of hemlock poisoning is vomiting. And vomit was found at the crime scene.
Why would I kill the Queen? No, my patient. I took an oath to do no harm.
You said it yourself. Without her, you are free to leave as you please.
With all the information you gathered from the gentlewoman, you were able to build this murder as Lady Macbeth's suicide because you knew she had a psychological condition.
No, you're mistaken.
Of course, this isn't the final, but we still have to review other elements of the case.
Anyways, we'll be back. We know you'll still be here because you're tied to Macbeth until the war ends. Good evening.
Alright, let's run through what we know.
Okay, so we have a few problems. We have no access to modern technology or any eyewitnesses of the events leading up to the death. We have no direct evidence. We're basing all our evidence off of circumstantial evidence.
What does that mean?
You idiot, have you not been paying attention in class or studying? Circumstantial evidence is evidence based off inference, while direct evidence is evidence based off fingerprints, footage, or eyewitnesses that can help us lead to the crime.
Why didn't you just say that?
That's not how it works.
Okay, fine. Here's what we know. Lady Macbeth had a history of depression and hallucinations. Also, the knife was found alongside her bed, along with the pool of blood, which makes it look like a suicide. But as we saw in the autopsy, the angle of the cut proves otherwise. Along with that, the vomit, which we saw in the crime scene, was drier than the blood, which indicates that the vomit had to happen before the cut.
Additionally, both Macbeth and Satan have an alibi.
What does that mean?
You really need to stop playing video games and start studying.
That's not the point.
Okay, anyways, an alibi is a reason or evidence that a suspect was not present at the scene of a murder. So since Macbeth and Satan were both together, and it is clear that they were preparing for battle, they had no direct contact with Lady Macbeth prior to her death. Therefore, they both have a legitimate alibi.
Okay, the gentlewoman was part of the group that discovered the death, so that's her alibi. Along with that, she has no motivation to kill Lady Macbeth, because if Lady Macbeth dies, she no longer has a job.
That leaves the doctor. The doctor had no alibi. With Lady Macbeth dead, the doctor no longer had any reason to stay at Dunsinane. He had the means to kill Lady Macbeth because he was the one who had access to the hemlock plant. For proof, we have the samples from the bedroom and from his notebook. To back up the hemlock theory, Lady Macbeth vomited, which we now know is a symptom of hemlock poisoning. The fact that the vomit was dry indicates that it was expelled prior to the occurrence of the laceration and eventual bleeding out. Finally, the doctor had the perfect opportunity to commit the murder because he knew Lady Macbeth's sleep schedule, as was revealed by the gentlewoman.
Using the circumstantial evidence and process of elimination, we can determine how Lady Macbeth died. The doctor used hemlock to poison Lady Macbeth, and this resulted in her paralysis. This is why the doctor was able to cut Lady Macbeth without her reacting. What the doctor did not realize is that hemlock causes vomiting, so that's why Lady Macbeth ended up vomiting. Once Lady Macbeth was paralyzed, the doctor cut her, and that's what caused her to bleed out and die. The doctor then tried to frame it as suicide. So let's go arrest the doctor. We'd like to have a talk with you, doctor.
And we'll be taking that, exposing you for what you really are.
A murderer.
Curses!
Looks like this case is closed.
Come in.
Hey, Professor.
How much can you guys disappoint me? I assigned this project to you 2 months ago, and you didn't even do it on the right book.
What?
You were supposed to do it on Lady Othelio from Hamlet. I didn't even give you the book Macbeth. Well, here's your grade. It didn't take me any long to grade it for you. And next time, read the right book.
An F?
Oh, we're in Lady Macbeth's room. And there's the body.
It's pretty nasty.
Oh man, look at that knife.
All these war preparations have caused me to be fatigued.
So, Macbeth. Ah.
Leaf of hemlock, as it states in your notebook, can cause paralysis.
Come on.
Paralysis.
You should just say, doctor, without her here, you're free to leave as you please.
With all the information you gathered from the great...
Dude, come on!
exposing you for what you really are?
A murderous traitor.
Ah!
Oh, dude, are you okay? Oh my god.
Wait, you really are?
A murderous traitor.
Ah!